When Washington was fighting in the war, a lot of rumors started to be spread about Mrs. Washington. One of the things they said the most was that Martha was a British sympathizer, a loyalist, so she didn't support this war effort. She couldn't allow such rumors to be spread. So what did she do? She risked her life by having a lot of inoculations for the terrible diseases that spread in the camps, and she followed Washington to the camps. It was during this time that she began to be known as Lady Washington. This was paying tribute both to the British heritage of the United States with that noble title and the fact that she was a Southern belle. She was a lady, and people would call her Lady Washington, as they were glad to see her there, tending to the sick, making food, sewing, and just lifting their spirits. It made the sick and hungry, tired young men happy to see Lady Washington there with her smiling face. And she also inspired many of the other officers' wives to come and help her, serving food and sewing clothes, ministering to these men as they were fighting in this dangerous but worthwhile cause of freedom. She's known as the First Lady, yet that term was not used any time that George Washington was in office. Instead, they called her Lady Washington, or sometimes they called her the Lady Presidentis, because she had no official title. Nowhere in the Constitution or any other political document was the office of the president's wife given any kind of a title or a job. Nevertheless, she did find quite a job, just as she did in those early days with the troops. Martha Washington faced a lot of grief during her life. Out of her 4 children, 2 of them died in infancy, and she only had 2 of them when she married George. But they both died in young adulthood. Her daughter died at 17, and her son was 27, did not actually fight in the Revolutionary War as a soldier, yet he would accompany his stepfather to help him on the front lines, and he contracted a serious disease, and he ended up dying from that at 27. Nevertheless, he was married and had a few children. When the young lady, his widow, remarried, she and the grandchildren continued to live with the Washingtons, and they raised the grandchildren as their own. Being a good mother and grandmother was a very important duty to Martha. She didn't like being in the public eye, being part of all the social engagements that life called for. But she knew that that was her duty. She stayed in Mount Vernon most of the time while Washington was away, but after he took office for the first time on April 30th, 1789, she began to make the trip to join him in New York. On the way, she stopped in Philadelphia and made an impromptu speech, thanking the people who welcomed her so warmly and the troops who were accompanying her. This was the first time that a woman had really made a public speech like that. And you could say that it was unheard of at the time because women didn't have that vocal of a public voice. But people were delighted to hear what this lady had to say. She was a very intelligent woman and a woman of strong faith. She cherished her Anglican faith throughout her life, and she believed in daily Bible reading, daily prayer, and showing charity to others.